Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Right or Die Show. I am your host, Randi-lee. Today on the show, we have our guest, Chris. Oh my gosh, I've already forgot how to say it. Can you say it?
Chris Denmead,
Denmead. There we go. Guys, I even practiced it ahead of time, but memory, So where are you visiting us from?
Worcester, Massachusetts.
Oh, nice. Did you guys have a lot of snow right now?
Nothing right now.
Excellent. Us either. It's great.
Yeah, no snow
Fantastic.
right now.
Thank goodness. I love your shirt, by the way. So for those of you who are not watching this on YouTube, first off, why not?
I was supposed to
Second,
wear it for a date today, but it got canceled. So
oh, that sucks. But so
yeah,
it's
tell me about
really
it.
cool. It's like this black button-up shirt, but it's Halloweeny. It's got like skulls and pumpkins and witches' hats. Like it's very fun. It's very Halloweeny, which I love because I love horror. So love it. So tell us a little bit about who Chris is. Obviously, you're somebody who likes Halloween stuff.
I do. I run a horror radio show for the last 16 years in Worcester, so that's my big thing about Halloween. And then various things I've written, obviously, are pretty horror related as well, like Vlada, a Dracula tale. We gender swapped the cast of Dracula.
Oh, okay. Nice. Um, and anything else that we need to know about you?
No, just always a great tip. Whenever I've had the same problem you'd had or whatever, when I was recording and I like had a cold that wouldn't kill it or whatever, my mouse is over the mute button on myself immediately, so that way it's always at the ready when I have to cough.
Yeah, I've got my hand like right by the mute button on the microphone. I'm just like gonna.
Just that way you can just immediately cough and not worry about it. So, or it's like I got a
Yeah,
console, I got a radio console right next to me where I can just hit my thing, like right now.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the second one. So
Yeah, yeah. It's all good. We'll figure this out as we go. Um, so I always say this to guests, start your story wherever makes the most sense for you. Um, and then we'll kind of just take it from there. So you start us off. Where should we start?
that's better. That way my head's not completely cropped out. Um, Start with what do you want me to start with?
Your mental health journey. Where do you want to start?
Um, my mental health journey is a combination of like why I probably podcast so much and write because trying to find a therapist in Massachusetts sucks because they're all so busy, which is 100% truth. So if you're a therapist out there listening, go, I'm not that busy, really, because your website says you're booked out until the end of the earth.
Maybe they
According,
need to update their websites then.
according to Blue Cross Blue Shield, you're booked out. So maybe you can contact them and be like, "Why are you telling my patients I'm booked out?"
There you go, right? I like it.
Yeah. Anyway, but through that, I'm able to like talk with people about stuff or bring up things that are bothering me, or just kind of channel it in a positive mental attitude through podcasting or writing. Obviously, not everything we talk about when we're podcasting is positive. If we got something criticism to say, then say it. But overall, just it's the way to vent it out there. There's a comic book I'm working on. It's untitled. It's currently being drawn by the artist Katie, about two people that meet at a library in the 90s, and they hit it off. They start dating. They're teenagers in love. 90s. I said that. They're teenagers and they're like 15 or 16 years old, and they start dating. But one of them says to the other person, "You don't want to date me because I you don't want to go out with me because I sometimes try and hurt myself." And that is 100% true fact. Something that some girl said to me when I was in high school in the 90s. Met this girl at the library I had seen a couple times before, and we got to talking. And at the end of like our big discussion of whatever it was we were talking about, probably our school assignments for the summer, I asked her out, and she said that to me. And someone has said to me that that sounds like the most depressing thing ever. That somebody would rather be alone um, to hurt themselves than rather be with somebody.
Oh my gosh, that is so sad, but you know what? There's a little bit of self-awareness there for her to realize, "I don't wanna put somebody else through being with me because I know I'm going to do this to myself."
Right. So whatever happened to her, I don't know. I mean, it's the comic book will say in the very beginning that this is This is based on a true story. So
Yeah.
it's based on a true story, just like every other based on true story. There's obviously
Right.
some
So many things are
fiction.
based, but how
There's some
loosely
fiction.
based?
Yeah, loosely based, but the events of the story mostly did happen. Did we ever date? No, but so.
Okay. I remember dating somebody actually back in high school, which would be early 2000s, and them saying, "Oh, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself." And I was like, "Oh my
Oh
gosh." And
yeah.
the amount of pressure that puts on a teenager is way too much. And my kids, my had a friend or had that was dating somebody, my one kid, and he told me that the person said that, and I go, "Well, you know what? I hope that they don't, but that is not your problem to stand with them for that. Like they need help. Um, and you can't provide that help as a young teenager yourself."
Um, my co-host of one of my podcasts said to me, "You seem to draw to you damaged people to cling to until they have used you up and then need to move on." Because more than once I have dated somebody, and I'm straight, so I'm mostly talking about women, and I'm sure this applies to women who've dated guys as well.
Oh, for sure.
I'm just talking from my own perspective. So
Always.
we go through the gender pronouns and everything. I'm just talking about women. Women I have dated have like been, and I was just like, ah, I hated she said that, but 100% seems true. That more than one woman I have dated has had some seriously bad mental health issue, and it seemed like I was never dating them to fix them because that's not me. But and I know people have said to me before, it's like, oh, I dated somebody, I felt like I could fix them, but it wasn't going to work. And I was just like, it was not your job to fix them. But I
Yeah.
understand why people do that. Anyway, um, they had the range of mental health issues. One was dealing with the trauma of an abusively toxic relationship. One was had left somebody at the altar. One was dealing with some bad stuff in their childhood, whether it's to the 10th degree you can think of, or just stuff they carried with them, or abusive exes, or somebody killed themselves in their lives. Um, it, I have had this feeling of like people gravitating to me that have had this happen, and that's kind of depressing as well because I don't believe in the whole like energy, spiritual stuff and things like that. I don't know enough about it to comment on it, but I understand like people just being like, "Oh, your positive energy is what I need right now to get over my messed up whatever it is."
Hmm.
And I even had someone say to me once, "Oh, well, what if dating you is like the best thing in my life? That's what I need right now." And I was just like, no. And this person had nothing else going on in their life. They didn't have a job. They were living with their parents. They were in the middle of divorce. They didn't have their kids. This was during the pandemic, and I was just like,
Yeah.
and it was the holidays too, and I was just like, I cannot be your person for that whatsoever. I
Yeah.
mean, things for me right now are okay. Like we had a huge successful Kickstarter, and my job was doing very well, and in fact, I still had it during the pandemic, and things
Yeah.
like that. And I hadn't had COVID yet, so I was doing okay. I could not be this person's like anchor of life. And I felt really bad about that just because it's like maybe they did need something in them. But then I remember those conversations I've had with people that I've dated or friends of mine. They're just like, I felt like I could fix them. And it was just like, I feel like the only reason I would date this person is to feel like I'm going to be their fixer person when they get those crap together.
Yeah.
And
And
that could be really mentally draining as well.
oh, for sure. You cannot fix somebody else. Like that's why there's trained professionals, right? I
Right.
mean, you said at the beginning of the show that you had trouble finding a trained professional.
Still am.
Um, yes, yeah. But that doing your podcast and stuff and all your different work, it's kind of like therapy. And you know what? I totally agree with that. It's not therapy per se, but when I get on the show and I'm talking to the guests, it's therapeutic, right? Like
So
get it out.
someone asked if you write about female characters, a lot of female characters, because you feel like you're working through your problems, like dating or whatever, or finding a relationship. And I'm like, no, yeah, no, no. I just write about female characters because I like to write about strong female characters. Like somebody I was talking to that I recently met, they really pointed out how much they enjoy the fact that most of my writing is about female characters. Whether there be like a vampire, a succubus, some woman who's badass who doesn't need someone to take care of them. And I'm just like, oh, I guess it's maybe just because that's the person I'm either attracted to, or it's just awesome to write about the Xena, the Wonder Woman, the Buffy,
Right? Yeah.
and I'm not big into writing the damn girl in distress.
I'm not big
So
on reading that.
no, so I don't think that's some inner psychological whatever. I just think it's just the way I like to write. Um, do I find myself writing more when I'm depressed? Yes and no. Doesn't seem to be a correlation. Have I started painting more? Yes. Has the painting's been representation of my depression? Possibly. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. If they sell, make a lot of money, maybe I won't be depressed anymore.
Well, because then you can afford whatever therapist you
I can,
want,
there you go. It's
right?
not money. The money. It's not that the fact that money is making me happy. Of course, my debt wiped out would make me very happy. But the therapy being paid for by my $1 million soul painting, yes.
Exactly, right? Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy the things that will bring me happiness.
Yeah, like a new car, a new motorcycle, my kid's
Right?
college fund saved up and taken care
Yeah,
of if he wants to go to college. Things like
right?
that.
Oh my goodness. So big news, everybody. My kid just got into college.
Oh, cool.
Sorry, I had to share that. It's big news. Um, so you mentioned depression, so let's backtrack a little bit and talk about that for a hot second. Um, when you get depressed, so you said that you're not sure, maybe you write more, maybe you don't, but you paint more, you were saying.
I've started to only because of somebody I was dating recommended it. And I said it's something I've been thinking about doing for a while, and now I have like a dozen paintings sitting in a bag somewhere that are finished. So, and then I was just at the Five Below and I bought some canvas only because it was like two for $5. These large canvases the size of your monitor.
That's awesome. We don't get those deals here.
I was like, holy crap, these are huge. These are like really big. Like,
Hmm.
like the way my hands are in the camera, which I can't figure out how big my
Quite
hands are in the
large.
camera.
Quite
Yeah,
large.
two for $5. Couldn't pass it up. So I'm gonna
Right?
paint those.
Nice. And
Um,
have you
but I'm also like,
felt
I'm
the
not.
difference?
I also want to stick them in galleries, not just because like I'm trying to show off like how my excuse me, my art represents my depression, but just to be like, I'm a like kept my one of my idols and heroes, Kevin Smith would say, I'm a media whore. So I'll find every opportunity to promote myself.
Hey, that's what you got to do when you do this kind of stuff.
And that's why Kevin Smith is where he is.
There you go.
By the way, he just admitted that he has depression. He checked himself in for a couple weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, you go back and listen to one of his episodes of Fat Man Beyond. He talks about it.
okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because yeah, depression is anybody, everybody, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what you do. It's just a great time. I hope my sarcasm came through with my sore throat there.
Gotcha.
Um, so is there any other things that you have tried with to deal with your depression?
No,
Well, that was a
other
short answer.
no, it's true. Just nothing. I don't do drugs, so I'm not going to. I really don't want to try anything. So I'm very much hard against like chemical balance. Like take a pill and it's gonna. Oh, but I have to take 20 other pills to figure out which one's gonna work for my chemical muckety muck.
It works for some people, doesn't work for everybody. That's what I
I
always
don't want to
say.
go through. I do not want to go through the trouble of trying to figure out like which one's gonna work
It
for
can be a
everybody.
very tricky thing for
Yep.
sure.
I've
Uh,
heard about like, oh, you gain weight, you lose your hair, you lose your libido, you throw up, you whatever. I have not. No, thank you. Why?
oh my
Jeez.
goodness. I got lucky. I found the right one very quickly. Um, my kid was not as lucky. He did have a lot of ups and downs, but he's on a good one now. But yeah, it's not an easy path to take, and it's not for everybody to take.
Right. I'm not telling anyone this is not advice, even though I call myself Dr. Chris on the radio. This is not advice. This is just my own thing. So don't,
Exactly.
like any warrior feed you read on Reddit, don't take it as a.
Exactly. But have you tried anything else? Like, so painting, I know that podcasting, you said you love doing that. That's kind of therapeutic. Any, like, have you found like exercising or
No,
anything like that? No?
no. I mean, I exercise, but I don't find it to be like anything changes.
Oh man, that bites. So what do you do when you're feeling depressed?
Um, I guess it all matters what it is I'm doing when it happens too. It's not a matter of like
Okay.
I'm sitting here. Yeah, I had to think about that one for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, it all matters. It all depends on where I am and what I'm doing at the time. So let's just say that.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's gonna be different if you're sitting at home doing nothing or if you're out and about doing something. Yeah,
Right.
it's definitely gonna be different. I know I've been out and I feel it, and I just, you put on a happy smile and everything's cheery, but really you're just everything is awful. But
I think I just maybe you should next step is to maybe become a vigilante and just take out all the bad people.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, that might be very therapeutic. At least I'm doing the world a favor then.
Oh my goodness. Or I mean, have you written about that yet? Obviously a
Uh,
badass chick doing it.
no, I would write it as a guy, or I could write it as a girl. Somebody likes to throw a monkey wrench into whatever in one time. It was just like, oh, you should write it like this because of this, this. And I was like, whoa, way too complicated. You just threw in all these things in there just to make it more whatever. Let's just keep it to one thing,
Yeah, it
specifically
doesn't
like
you
that.
don't need to convolute it with all this other stuff.
Oh God, kind of like that Lost Boys remake they were going to try and do in the CW before the pandemic. I don't know if you ever heard about.
I no, I'm
Yeah,
not.
look it up. They tested horribly because they changed so much about it. It became unrecognizable.
Well, that's the problem, right? Sometimes they try to redo stuff, but
They made it really
it's
unrecognizable.
just
Like
completely different. It's not a remake, it's now a completely different story.
right, or like the I Know What You Did Last Summer. Did you watch that on Prime?
I did not, but I do remember the original movies.
Yes. So there's a TV series and it's overly convoluted to the point that it's just like, okay,
Oh,
we get that it's like, okay, someone's killing everyone off from the summer before, but you have added in way too much extra else just to pad out 10 episodes. And thank
oh,
God it got
geez.
canceled. Like it's a
So what you're
sister.
telling me is not to watch it.
No, yeah, it's twin sisters, one of which is good, one of which is bad. By good and bad, take it however you want, or whatever. And the good one puts on the bad one's shirt and gets in the car with her friends, and they think it's her. And her sister just had a fight before, so the bad sister goes out on a walk and they accidentally hit and kill her. And of course, only the sister knows that it's they think the girl in the car is the bad sister, and the good sister is the one they killed. And when she goes over her dad says, "You have to become your sister now."
Oh my God, that
You
is
have to
really
you have to
convoluted.
learn how to smoke, you have to get tattoos, you have to get your nipples pierced, and you have to learn how to become a lesbian, basically. And you have to take all her classes at school.
That Yeah, that sounds a little bit too much. So, okay, so maybe I'm gonna take that off my list
Oh
because
yeah, there's also this like bee honey cult thing. Don't ask me.
cool. Hmm.
I think I binge. I think I hate watched it just to be like, how is this getting stupider?
Right, there are definitely shows that I'm like, hey, I'm watching this, but this is awful, but I'm still watching it, even though I'm hating it, but I'm watching it.
I actually do have a great idea for a vigilante story that would involve, I guess, mental health. I don't know, it'd be depression. Somebody takes the sex offender website list and just systematically goes after people in different counties and areas that are on that list that got sent home from prison and they feel like they probably should not have. Not the people who take a piss in the park or whatever, and that's
Right,
whatever.
there.
That's like something that needs to be like that whole thing needs to be readjusted just a little bit.
Yeah,
But
I've definitely
sex in public,
peed in
same thing.
public.
Yeah, sex in public, same thing. You're not a sex offender. You're just don't ever freaking do that
Just
again.
choosing a bad place to do it.
Yes, yes. But other stuff we know of, things that are not consensually good.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are bad. And my idea was like a vigilante goes after, and I was just like, I don't know, Hollywood has never done this before. And like this, I've never. But maybe the story has been written before. You know how many books are written? It's ridiculous.
Right? Like there's a crazy amount of books out there, so it could have been written. It's just not one of the popularized ones. Who knows?
Right, definitely. So
Yeah. Hmm. So speaking of writing and books and oh, great segue in. What are you working on? You were kind of teasing before
that
we hit record about some project.
that comic book I talked about,
Yeah. So wanna share a little bit more?
that's all I have.
That's all you got.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all I have. Yeah, that's that comic book.
Okay. But that comic book, when are you hoping for it to be out? Do you know? Or just whenever it's ready?
When it's ready, I'll figure it out. Right now, we're still working on artwork, so I can't even say anything right now. I mean, other than
Okay.
like, I got 5 pages I can send to a publisher here and there to be like, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Other than that, I don't have much else to go on with it. There's a documentary TV show I'm working on about deceased comic book writers. That's on a book that is a TV show, and then there's
Okay.
a documentary book. There's a documentary book about my computer's right here where I'm pointing. Um, there's a documentary book biography about comic book store owners in the New England area. I just got done writing out the next store. Of course, I found out she just closed her store. Oh, yeah, September. I was really like, she was the only female comic book store owner in New England that wasn't co-owning it with her husband. So
Wow.
her name was the only one on it. Her husband's name was not on it. So it was her store.
Yeah.
All the other ones, it's a husband-wife team. So
Okay.
yeah, so unfortunately, but I digress. So that's a biography book that's currently in development. And then Detective Demona is a comic book about a female succubus who's a private investigator in a crime noir story. It's a office story. It's an adventure action story. It turns into a hardcore mature content story at the end.
Okay, so mature audiences only. Got it.
Yeah, when you start flipping through it, you're just gonna be like, oh, okay, this is fine. Oh, there's some blood and violence. Oh my god, the last couple
Well,
pages
I
are
mean,
like
when you said
strictly adult.
succubus, I kind of
Yeah.
went, mature audience, I'm
Oh yeah,
thinking.
totally. Yep. Yep.
And is that one out already then?
No, it's in the.
That
It's
one's in the
finished.
works.
It needs to get printed or published.
Okay, okay. So that one's at least a finished one and working on getting it out there.
Yeah, then there's all the Vlada Dracula tale stuff where we gender swap the cast of Dracula. So that's the main stuff. That's all that stuff that has been published as well as anything else I've written. But that's the main thing. Let's just say them keeping
Yeah,
it
the
not going
swap.
off tangent to too many different projects. One thing I've learned in interviews: don't pick apart everything someone has written. You'll never get to an interview.
Oh, I know.
So
You got to pick and choose or pick one thing to really delve into, right?
right,
So the
like Paul Dini.
Dracula,
What?
what?
Go on. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say these Dracula ones, what, like, I know you're swapping gender ones. What are they called?
Vlada a Dracula tale.
Okay. And where do people get those ones?
Vlada Dracula Tale, Vlada Chronicles of the Damned, and Vlada Tales of the Damned, Vlada Resurrection. It's all in the gender swap Dracula universe, just to simplify it for you. You can find them on Amazon, Etsy. I think where you are, local comic store might have some copies, but Amazon, Etsy, Barnes and Noble. The main book can be found on Amazon, Etsy, Barnes and Noble.
Okay. And those ones are comic books too, or just books?
Yes, all of them.
Nice.
Comics, books, and books. Comics, books, anthology. Just go to. Best idea is just go to Etsy and buy out Dracula Tale.
Okay, well there you go. That's the easiest way to do it. And tell me a little bit more about your podcast.
Which one? I have so many. Let's just pick one.
I want to pick because you said you talk about horror on one of them, right?
It's a mixture depending on what the subject is. The Dead TV podcast talks about canceled TV shows. So we're currently covering Werewolf the series, which starred John J. York. If you watch General Hospital or Good
Yes,
Morning
I
America,
did.
so if you watch Good Morning America, John was on Good Morning America a few months ago talking about he's leaving General Hospital after being on it for 30 years as Mike Scorpio.
Oh,
He was diagnosed with cancer, so he is leaving the show. He was
oh,
leaving the show to deal with his cancer, but he announced his retirement from the show. I think he's got episodes coming up that will
yeah,
his character off somewhere. But,
yeah.
yeah. So he's the star. He was the star of the '87 TV series on Fox called Werewolf the Series. It was an early Fox show with Married with Children and Before the Simpsons,
Yeah.
things like that. So it was when Fox was a fledgling, like, what is this network?
Hmm. That's kind of cool. How many episodes does that show have? The
That
one
it had
like
one
your
season, 29 episodes,
Okay.
and we're up to episode 15. So we just had Sean Kanan on. His first acting gig was on that show. Sean Kanan is known as the bad boy villain from Karate Kid Part 3, and he too has been in soap opera fame for over 1,000 episodes. The Brave and the Beautiful, and a bunch of other stuff.
My
Yeah.
aunt watches that one, or she did during
He
COVID,
looks
anyways.
amazing for his age, and yes, there's a reason why he's on The Brave and the Beautiful. So,
Yeah, yeah. Is there any last things that you want the audience to know before we wrap up?
they can go to the Etsy store to buy the Vlada Dracula tale. That's the only thing I can think of. Everything else, like I said, is development, so it's not like they can find anything right now. Just
Yeah.
like
So can they
I
follow
need a
you
better.
any place so that they can stay up to date with all of these projects that are coming up?
Same thing. The Vlada, the Dracula Tale social media, the Radio Horror social media, fortunately got taken over by hackers and is gone on Facebook, which
Oh,
sucks. Yeah, don't. I just. Oh, you have no idea. So that's how Facebook Meta Business, and they spammed everyone with porn in my contact list. So yeah, and Facebook is terrible about getting like keep things back to people because
yeah.
yeah. But there's Twitter as well, or X, whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
Christy SAV Radio Horror on Instagram. Sorry, but the Vlada does have a Facebook, Twitter, Dracula page, and the Radio Horror Instagram kind of encompasses all that. So if you type in
Excellent.
Radio Horror on, like, you'll find like a bunch of different links. The website's radiohorror.wordpress.com and it has links to the YouTube as well. So I gotta take the Facebook link down off of there because it's some picture of a woman and it says Facebook Meta. It's trying to be Facebook, it's trying to be a fake.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a YouTube with all my interviews on there. Radio Horror. We just posted an interview with the people behind the Evil Dead musical in Boston.
Oh my gosh. Okay, guys.
In
So
Boston,
the
not the big one in Vegas.
the Evil Dead musical, I just have to say. Well, so me and my husband, we've now been together 16 years. He hates all things horror. Okay. So when we first started dating, and I love musicals. We first started dating, I saw the Evil Dead musical coming. I needed somebody to go with. And I was like, hey, do you want to see this? He had no idea what the Evil Dead was. Okay. So he was like, sure, whatever. He didn't know it was a horror series at all. Granted, the musical is a spoof and it's hilarious,
Uh
but
huh.
he had no idea. So we go. Um, one of my all-time favorite musicals, and it's actually coming back to Canada this year, so I'm waiting for the tickets to go on sale so I can get them. But we saw it in Toronto. So funny, hilarious, amazing. The songs are great. I have them on my Spotify playlist. Like it's awesome. Mature content, just gotta say. And
Oh,
then my husband goes and finds out that the Evil Dead, because I said, oh, I want to find the movies. He goes, oh, there's movies? And I'll go, yeah. And I'm telling him about that. He goes, so there's no talking moose? I go, no, there's no talking moose, honey. He goes, but it's not funny? I go, no, no, honey. It's like murder and demons and blood. And he goes, I don't want to see that.
um, yeah, more or less it is.
Yeah.
Um, they do the spray can and stuff. I mean, this one is also done like some type of like 3D HD way. Um, it's not a lot of sets. It's like a turn-based kind of
Yeah, it's
system.
awesome. It's so good.
It was very very weird. I was the only one in the audience.
Serious? Oh my, ours
Well,
was full.
for press night, I was the only one there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was
When
the
we
only
went,
press person that could show up. Apparently, I was shocked. I had the whole place myself when I got there. They were like, "So you're the first press guy here. Very unusual because we're starting in like 25 minutes. And we thought we'd have more, and then by the time they were about to start, I was the only person in the audience. It was the dress rehearsal, the final night dress rehearsal. They did everything they were going to do in a regular performance, the exception of they didn't put the spray cannons on because I was sitting in the back of the audience. I really didn't want
yeah.
to. So yeah, that was strange.
That's so weird. But if you have the opportunity to see it, it's hilarious. I absolutely loved it. We're going again. Our youngest is now 17, so we're gonna bring him this time.
Cool,
Um, and we're gonna sit in the splatter zone this
cool.
time. So it's gonna be awesome. Not too many people have ever heard about it. So when you brought it up, I was like, oh my gosh, love
Yep.
that musical.
We've covered it before. We played the soundtrack once upon a time when we were on really late, so we get away with some of the language. But now we're on a little earlier, and we're not able to play the soundtrack. But yeah,
Yeah.
I had people on from the Vegas show many years ago, so that really lost the time, like John J. York's first interview.
Yeah.
So,
So
but I digress.
yeah, I digress all the time, but oh, one of my favorites. So anyways, as we're wrapping up, be sure to check out the links in the description down below, so you can quickly, easily go and follow Chris and keep up to date on all the stuff and go and get the already out there stuff. My brain just paused.
Yeah, Vlada Dracula Tale over on Amazon or Etsy. So if you have an Amazon account, if you don't like Amazon, then go to my Etsy store. I get more money from Etsy than I do Amazon.
Oh, well,
So
there you go.
yeah, or ask your local comic book store to carry it, and they can get it from me. So
That's even better because then
yeah.
you're supporting a local comic book store as well
They're
as
supporting
an
the local
author.
comic store. Me just spreads the word out there.
Hey, that's support. Sometimes that's all you need. So thank
If
you.
you go to the Massachusetts, there's places that carry like that's entertainment. So
Yeah. So thank you again so much for being on the show, and check out the links in the description down below. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. I don't know why you wouldn't. That's just crazy. So do that. If you're listening on the podcast, hit the follow button. Do all those, things that you do. And we will talk to y'all next time. Bye.